out, save. What is going on here?
I don't know because we're still. Good evening. How is everybody? We are so glad to be back with you as we continue to take this journey together. I am Zare and I'm here with Aymar, and we are once again uh, opening our show. I think, first of all, I'm going to say, how are you?
I am doing fine. Doing what they call the production of the show. That's what I hear it's officially called.
Yes.
I got a link that doesn't want to seem to act right too at the same time, so I got to go do this again.
Okay. And
Unseen.
while you're doing that, not that I meant to cut you off or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
but while you're doing that, what I am going to do is I'm going to start off by reading. Yes, reading, because I this is too long for me to memorize. Our belief statement, the
Okay.
Taking the Journey Together belief statement. It says, "We believe in the magic of real relationships, so we know we are going to relate. It doesn't matter what your mother says, or what your father says, or your children, or even what Jesus says. We are going to relate. And we also know the old saying that we can be friends, but we can't be lovers, or we can be lovers, but we can't be friends. Therefore, we marry our lovers, but not our friend. But Taking the Journey Together believes our friends can make our best lovers, and our best lovers can make our best friends. We believe that the Creator split one soul into masculine and feminine energies, and those energies have been on a journey through lifetimes, preparing to reunite here on earth. Each of us has a divine partner, the yin to our yang, who can help us feel whole again. As your hosts, we're Sharon and Craig Butts, and we bring over 56 years of marriage experience to the table. We're here to help you reimagine your relationship lifestyle, drawing from our rich experiences to empower you to reach your goals. Taking the journey together is not about creating drama. We serve as watchmen and women dedicated to uplifting and empowering individuals to build and sustain balanced, healthy relationships, especially within our community. We address interpersonal concerns in dating and cohabiting and marriage, all to cultivate committed, thriving relationships. Together, we'll explore the transformative power of relationships, embracing the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. Let's grow, uplift, and elevate one another on this beautiful journey. Now,
Why are you laughing?
because
That was an administration mistake. You were hearing yourself, wasn't you?
I was.
Yep, you were actually hearing yourself. I was trying to get the right link out onto taking the journey together a profile that we
Yes.
have on Facebook, and so I was having a little hard time of getting that link out. And once I found the right link, lo and behold, it was you talking. So it sounded like an echo, didn't it?
It did. It was like, oh wait, no, I'm in delayed.
Exactly,
It was
exactly.
so nice. I had to say it twice. So
Exactly. So you want to introduce our guest that's in the background while waiting?
nah,
Is she not a guest
we'll just
anymore?
we'll just let her hang out.
Okay.
No.
Oh, so she's just not a guest. I'm gonna put it since you said that, I'm gonna put her up front and see how she ain't mean my goodness no more. Because hey, Sharon said it. I did not do it. That was Sharon. Okay. So you owe me a daiquiri. No, I don't do daiquiri. It's a rum and a coke. Actually, tell you the truth.
Which you don't do now anyway.
No, I
Yeah.
forgot. I can't even drink that. Wow.
So yes, we are going to bring forward our co-host, Milani, and
Chris,
how are you today?
all is well. How are you guys?
Oh, we are moving and
Grooving.
moving and moving. A lot of what's going on with us, we realize that things just have to keep rolling, and you can't let it stop. So I guess you can say we're rolling.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Hey, got something great this weekend. Would have asked you earlier, and maybe we're asked now, and then next time we can see because we kind of figure what we're doing is more like mature, older, grown folks things, and we don't know how you felt about it. But we're actually
Hanging
going
out.
to
Hanging with the oldies.
exactly. We're actually going to a play tomorrow, in another particular city. I think it's in Tybee,
It's in Tybee.
and it's a play about what again?
It's called Ragtime.
Ragtime. Yeah,
Okay.
Ragtime. And we're going to see that tomorrow. And hopefully, they have a black cast too. And I think it's based
Well,
off of.
it's a play written for black people.
Exactly. Exactly.
so
Probably based off of Scott
Post
Joplin,
theater.
American.
yeah.
Yeah, Scott Joplin. So
Say that again.
It's at the Post Theater.
It's at the Tybee Theater.
Tybee Theater in Tybee. So basically, we're going there, and not too many plays are happening around here anyway, especially that kind of play. And then hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to the producers of it because Cheryl and I, you didn't know this because we haven't told you, but we actually have a play that we have actually put together. It's called a consciousness play. A relationship consciousness play that we put together, mainly from the standpoint of a young particular sister. And I basically scored the music behind it. She wrote the lyrics behind it, and I produced and put the whole thing kind of together. And we've been for the last couple of years trying to get actors, trying to get choreographers and all stuff to put this play together and find a play to actually do the play.
Producers. All
Exactly. So we're really looking
That.
at.
Uh-oh.
Why'd you raise your hand like that?
When you said actors, I was like,
Yeah, well, we definitely will be looking for actor. Our first thing is we got to find a producer to help put all the necessary pieces together as producers do to make this happen, even though we've been working on our own from that end.
Mhm.
And we might be looking at hopefully maybe the Tybee Theater in this particular production company who did it might look at working with us to do it. But anyway, we're excited to go there. And I was telling Sharon, maybe next time when something like this happened, you might be comfortable to go with us, and we'd invite you along. I don't know from that end.
yes.
Yeah.
Of
It was
course.
kind of, yeah. We did it spur of the moment. He saw it and said, "Should we go?" And I sat down and got the tickets, and so that's kind of how it happened. But he was saying the other day, she might would have wanted to go too.
Yep. This is probably like for me, it would be a milestone of me actually going out for something locally here of the
Mhm.
event since I've had that accident
Yeah.
from that particular one. So it's a milestone getting back on my feet to do and hopefully do the events and things that I haven't did before.
Things that
or
we
do
enjoy.
that we enjoy exactly. So we're really excited about it this Friday to be able to make that. I think we might even stay in Tybee for a couple of days just to get a break away from here and enjoy the beach like we love and all that other good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
and
support
say that again.
I support that.
You support
Thank you.
that?
No, she said she support
I
that,
know.
even though we are still looking for Seaport to in turn support that thing that we talked about before, which is all about taking the journey on the road
Yeah.
out there in the public, especially in the area dealing with young folks. So hopefully she'll support us once we get that
I
moving.
support that as well.
We're
Yeah.
probably going to do it next year because I know we have to sit down and you got your stuff that you're doing this year. We got our that
The toy drive and community give
exactly,
back
exactly. So
movie
I
and all
got
that.
some rappers.
good.
We need to talk about
Hold on.
that, and I still got to get all the. Even though this is not about the topic, but we got to
Okay,
get
so,
that.
so hold on for a second. You tell me you got LL Cool J coming? You said you had some rappers, sister. I know it's
Low
corny. I know it's
rappers.
corny, but you said you had some
I
rappers.
got you. I
I'd
got
rather
you.
take DMX.
Rappers that rap, right?
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be something to get some young rappers, especially the ones we in turn are in the public area, and they
Mhm.
actually would do the image of giving back
Oh, that
in
would
the
be nice.
community
Yeah.
to let young folks know that they also have a life that besides what they show as an image, because it
Mhm.
really is an alter ego game that they play that we didn't lower.
Yeah.
They really didn't really grow up that way. But at the same time, they do have kids.
Yeah.
They do enjoy some of the holidays. They do the Christmas thing. So why not in turn show that image and stop just playing that one-sidedness and allow
Exactly.
both of them to mix together and be in sync? How
Yeah.
much better is
Yeah.
that? It'd
And
be
you-
nice to have them doing Christmas in different communities and then maybe play it back on different channels and stuff like
Mhm.
that. I think that would be cool. When you think,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
I like the
Yeah,
idea.
I think that would be real cool. Really help
Yeah.
our next generation off in a positive way.
Yeah.
Put it like that.
And I think that's important too because it also brings the fact that we need to support each other. We
Yeah.
need to raise each other up. We need to really show what unity is. And you don't have to have a lot to be able to give back to somebody who maybe has less, or somebody who maybe has less in a different way than you have. Because what we don't realize is sometimes we can all have abundance, but it's abundance in different areas. So,
Areas.
once we share, you know, our abundance around us, then that makes all of us even bigger, all of us even better. And so, and I think that's one of those important pieces that we forget. And a lot of us, when you talk about rappers, a lot of us um, blow off rappers as being um, a blight on society, not having anything worthwhile to add. Um, you know, just people that we don't want to be a representative
I don't.
of. I didn't say you did. I said
No,
some
no. I
people
mean,
do
there's certain
in our
styles
community.
that we have that were created by, I call the other folks to bring up and present negative aspects or stereotypes within our community to have pushed that.
Yeah.
But, from the beginning, hip hop has never been that way. Even
No,
moved into
it
rap,
wasn't.
it was never
No.
that kind of vehicle. It was the industry that took hold of it and then turned it and moved it because it saw the influence that it had on the community, especially to our young
Yeah.
folks. And like usual, it was not going to do it a good direction to help out the masses of people who were making money off of us and decided to change it another way. But that's another
Exactly.
story.
And that's
I'll
why
let
I
that one
think
go.
that would still be a good thing to bring together to
Yeah.
change that uh, belief system or that vision
Mhm.
that people have of that negativity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, we're going to go real quickly and start
And hello
the
to
show.
everybody who is
Yeah.
watching,
Exactly.
and those who have chimed in a greeting, and those who are just sitting quietly by. We still love having you with us.
Exactly. So let's start our show off. Our going to be the continuation of looking at things outside of. We know the last time we talked about how the presidential decision has caused for some families a lot of confusion, a lot of upsetness, a lot of mixed feelings because they feel differently about how the country should be done or feel differently and the different choices that were made. So it's caused conflicts in the relationship. But I guarantee you, I don't care if you have a balanced relationship. I don't care if you have a survival relationship. You're going to have conflicts. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about how do we deal with these kind of conflicts in the relationship. And I want to
And
play. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just going to say, and one of the things that we seem to
Oops.
keep as it's always there. I guess you could say that, the storm keeps on storming.
Ah,
And so, you know, and it's just different ways, but the storm keeps on storming.
exactly. So let's put this up here right beside us, and let's go through the process of playing this back. And it has different ways to play the back, but we're gonna play. Oh, it's starting already. So, and we already tested. So this time we should be able to hear it. But this time I turn it on.
A lot of marriages are struggling, relationships are struggling.
Yeah.
And they're missing why it's a struggle.
Why
You
it's a
know?
struggle.
Yeah, when you lift weights, you don't stop going to the gym because you're sore the next day. You're like, oh man, I must have hit it. Let me hit
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
You know? And so a marriage is the same way.
Yeah.
Little conflict. Oh, we married. What you thought? This is the greatest threat against the kingdom of darkness. It's
Teach,
supposed to happen.
Jason.
It's literally a war. You say I do, Satan say I see.
Mm.
A lot of marriages are struggling, relationships are struggling.
Yeah.
And they're missing why it's a struggle.
Why
You
it's a
know?
struggle.
Yeah, when you lift weights, you don't stop going to the gym because you're sore the next day. You're like, oh man, I must have hit it. Let me hit that
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And so a marriage is the same way.
Yeah.
Little conflict. Oh, we married. What you thought? This is the greatest threat against the kingdom of darkness. It's
Teach,
supposed to happen.
Jason.
It's literally a war. You say I do, Satan say I see.
Okay. Wow. Wow. I am not a very big what they call religious buff too. When you heard the words like Satan and all that stuff, but I think the point was made from that end. Let me ask you something. Our beautiful guests, and at the same time, you might say a host. What did you co-host? What did you? Yeah, thank you, Sharon. What do you think about what you just heard? What's your feelings about that?
I completely agree with that. A lot of people miss what it means to marry someone, what it means to unite with another person. It's a totally different person. We have ups and downs, ins and outs, perspectives, opinions, thought processes, ways we handle our emotions, traumas, healed traumas, experiences, knowledge, lack thereof. And when we unify or unite with another individual, we have to know that that's what we're about to deal with. We're dealing with a whole nother human being, and vice versa. Loving someone genuinely and understanding what unity is, people miss that.
Yes, yes. I think what has happened, we have had through Walt Disney, we have had through many cartoons, we had through many books, that when you get married, you right off into the sunset
And live happily
and
ever
live
after.
exactly.
Y'all gonna have ups and downs, disagreements,
Exactly.
battles. Somebody might do something that you would never think that this person would do, and you have to.
Mhm.
I like to try to understand where it's coming from. You should be trying to get to know the individual so that nothing is unexpected, even if it's unexpected in a way, and
Mhm.
be able to balance what it means to relate.
What do you think about that? Like I said, we're not very people are religious here. You know, please understand we're not really religious church folks, but we do believe that if you are religious, and even if Jesus said you're still going to relate anyway, as our motto says. So on that note, what do you think when he says when you do get married in these conflicts club, we know that the devil knows? Is that what he said? I think he said the devil knows or something like that. What do you think about that as for an outside spiritual entity that in turn doesn't really have the best interest
When I hear
relationship? What do you think about that when you brought that up?
when I hear religious innuendos, I just take them for the meat of what they actually mean.
Mhm.
I know people look at evil energy or anything as the devil and this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
The way that it
Do it again. You broke up, Miss Lady. You broke up.
I said when it went out, I said
Okay.
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 I was just saying that we mix people. I don't take hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we still hear you.
Okay, y'all just paused. Okay,
Okay.
so when I hear those types of innuendos, I take them for what they mean. And of course, marriage would be a threat to anything looking for division. Any type of anything aiming towards division or wanting, especially in the Black community, anything that divides us in either way. And marriage would be a ultimate threat, especially with two individuals who understand what marriage is, which means that they
Yes.
hold the intellectual power and capability and emotional intelligence to some degree enough to be a power couple. If two people understand what marriage is and decide to marry, they not out their mind completely, because it takes some level of understanding to know what marriage is. And to
Thank
have
you.
a black man and a black woman unite like that and let it be an epidemic of it. Oh, it's a problem for anybody against us.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, of
See,
course. Of
I
course.
love how you brought in the political circle energy that does affect us, as for we know in this country called racism, how enslavement definitely has affected us even from the beginning, no doubt about it. But that outside force that you also referred to could be simple as there's some people who we know as our friends or family that don't like it and are jealous of it.
Even
That should have
them.
been my man. That should have been my woman.
Even
or
them.
or jealous to the point of
You got to get by the mic, please,
or
Jay.
jealous to the point of they're too good for you,
Yeah.
or the two of you should not be together. I don't have anybody, why should you have somebody? you
Tell
And that
know
the
energy,
story. Oh, go ahead. Go
that
ahead.
energy, I've dealt with that energy personally, and that energy should make the bond stronger.
You're right.
Mhm.
You're right. But
It
that
should make the
doesn't
bond
necessarily
stronger.
that does not necessarily happen
It
because
doesn't
the understanding
necessarily
behind it is not like that. Sure. Tell of a story that happened when I took you on a birthday with your family to Sapelo Island. Bless Sapelo. Hopefully they're doing good. Those people over there are hopefully are getting their justice they need. As you know, not too long ago, that particular what fell again?
The
The
gangway.
gangway actually fell and people were killed. 7 older people were killed from that end. We were over that particular time, lucky we were blessed. But hopefully they're going to get their way and be able to keep their land too. But talk about when we were over in Sapelo, and I took you over years ago on your birthday, and your family flew in from all over the place. And we took a drive around, a tour around Sapelo, and there was this older, geeky looking white guy who stopped to talk to us and confronted us head on. And what did he say? Going to back what she just said.
And keep in mind, it was my family and him. So and we were off taking some pictures or something, and he said, oh gosh, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it was very, it was like I had no business being with him because he was a step down, basically. Man had never seen us ever until he decided to get on this tour that we had set up.
sound like an ego trip to me.
Yeah, this doofy looking pencil neck white guy,
Old
old,
man.
walked up to both of us, started a little bit of a conversation, was what you called a breaking the ice conversation. Okay, I mean, because you definitely look like we're not in the same
And he
worlds
was out of
whatsoever.
place.
And he started talking to both of us, and we're talking to him kind of nice, but he leaned more to my wife, and in turn, being Sharon, of course, said in so many words, and looking back at me and looking at her, and said, you really shouldn't be married to this guy. He really shouldn't be in your life. Do you know? I was just flabbergasted that this guy boldly said it. Talking about outside influence, you talk about racism that could be involved, microaggression definitely was a part of it. And way I was totally shocked to see this guy boldly say it, because easily I was a large enough guy that I could have kicked his butt at the time, but he had no problem saying that from the outside, as you called evil energy to say that. And Sharon looked at me and I looked at him, and I almost wanted to cuss him out of who you can say that, but we were just totally flabbergasted
Totally.
that was actually said to us.
Yeah, I to that was one of the times when I, looking back at the time, I was just so
I know you were shocked. You just couldn't believe it.
taken aback. I had nothing to say.
Mhm.
And
Dear
look,
caught in the headlights.
exactly. And looking back, um I realized that that was one of those times that we came face to face with verbal privilege.
Oh yeah, white
and
privilege.
and that's really what it was. He had no um no
Boundaries
no
or
reason
respect.
to feel like he had to experience or exhibit any kind of constraint. Didn't know us from anybody in the world. And
and we were on a tour where they were touring Sapelo Island,
yes,
where black folks live and did things.
yes,
That's just how bold this guy
a
was.
tour of our culture on
Exactly.
that island, our historical culture.
So when we got back in the van, I was heated, sister. I mean, I'm seriously. If I was in my younger days, I would have kicked his ass on the spot. I'll be honest with you. But in the van with my wife's of course family, and him and another older white girl, his wife, who was uncomfortable as can be, and the black guy was driving. He was told, he was like, and I'm sitting there stirring. You could just feel my energy stirring, and this guy still had it in his mind from this evil dark energy that he had a right to still deal with it. He even started asking questions to try to qualify me in life. What kind of job did you have? What was I doing in life? Am I right?
Yeah.
He was serious about it. And I was like, but I was livid. I'll be honest with you. Sadly to say, her family didn't even take up for me. They went out to apologize to this white guy that they were sorry for me being there in so many words. And then my verbal attack was, man, you don't know me. You don't know who I am. What gives you the right to even speak that way in the first place? So I guess they felt embarrassed because I spoke up. I mean, I've always been that kind of person. And many times some people get very embarrassed speaking up what I say for whatever reasons. And they felt that they need to apologize to this particular guy who was old. And at the same time, and I guess they figured I was going to kick his ass. And therefore, in turn, it just made me even that much more mad. I'll be honest with you.
The
He
whole,
didn't need no apology.
the whole situation just, as you say, ruined
Oh, it did.
everything
It
at
did.
that point. And and it's one of those things that it's still, and it's been quite some time, and it still lingers as a dark cloud over the relationship.
It places a wounded perspective of character to some degree. It's if somebody's expecting for someone to stand up for somebody in this type of situation, it could do that. And then it could also allow the woman to look at a man and his response to something like that. And then it could create different things from different aspects. But yeah, he definitely didn't have any room. I would have looked at him like, please dismiss yourself out of my space. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think of the cat because you got a different character, and some women have a different character. I mean, I know some women like maybe Alicia Blaker would have cussed him out and just put him in his place. Sharon, of course, is not that kind of personality. I can see because Sharon didn't apologize and she didn't go with the rest of the family. Feel uncomfortable with it. They're kind of uncomfortable with me. They think I'm a Malcolm X kind of street kind of guy and all the other stuff that just whatever. But Sharon was just more absolutely astounded, like a deal with the head, because of the fact this was her birthday, something different she never had happened before on an island that we absolutely love. And this person who looked like he was innocent, looked like he would never present himself that
Just
way,
out of the blue.
but racism is that way.
Mhm.
It doesn't look
And
like people
privilege
should
is
privilege
also.
that way too. That he just came out of nowhere, confronted us face to face. It's all up in my face doing this conversation, and actually had the ball, not the ball, but
The audacity.
yes, to actually speak that in front of us, and the rest of those folks were kind of within distance.
Like,
to hear it.
like these ain't my goons. Like, do you know? You
Now,
don't know.
apparently
who
he
I'm
felt
looking
apparently felt the energy, sisters, that they must have felt the
You know
same way,
what?
because they didn't say nothing about it.
And here's the thing.
No more than apologize.
But he didn't know they wasn't gonna be,
I know
Yeah.
that's what gets me. He didn't even know.
But-
But energy, hold on. Energy sometimes can be felt, not just seen. Sometimes people can just feel. In fact, I'll be honest with you. Energy is a vibe that is felt. Some people are not as sensitive as others to it, but some people are more sensitive to it and others. And as you already know, and even as this guy talks on the spiritual side, that kind of energy in the spiritual world can be felt by some people and some energies in such a way to either attack someone because they feel there's some kind of real innocence, they feel that they're real some kind of light, they're real from some kind of justice. So we're going to attack that kind of individual, that kind of faith, that kind of space, that kind of person, because of the fact that that's something that makes them feel uncomfortable. That's an enemy to them. So that kind of thing could easily be understood, and I think that's exactly what was going on.
And also the other thing that I think was going on
Mhm.
is he felt that his position of who he was
Mm.
it kind of negated any of us, regardless of how many of us there were, he was still in a position that he could say or do whatever he
Thank you.
wanted to unapologetically.
Exactly.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. His privilege counteracted anything that we could have possibly done or said.
Exactly.
Because if we had come at him in a like manner, being as negative toward him as his statement was toward us, then we would have been classified as the typical angry black people.
Exactly.
We would have been
Not with
classified.
polite
That wasn't
sarcasm.
good.
Not with polite sarcasm. They can't take it when you're more intelligent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You should have saw the black guy we knew who was driving. We knew him later on. Marcus later on, bless his heart. Marcus was like looking like
No, it was somebody else.
Oh well. Anyway,
Yeah.
he was looking like he just could not believe. I think he probably said, "This is the first time I ever seen this happen in all my tours."
Yeah.
Because he was looking like, I don't know if this brother gonna go off on him. Or in turn, if this guy just won't read the read the room and just shut up, he would not shut up.
Yeah.
I mean, he just would not.
We
shut
walked
up.
away from him.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you're ignorant.
Yeah.
And we're gonna let you wallow in your
and his
ignorance.
wife was like, be quiet. We could all not go home. We could lose our life. Be quiet.
She had some sense.
You know.
Yeah. She had sense.
Mhm.
And you could tell from her standpoint, this was not the first time he had done something ignorant like that.
No, it couldn't have been.
You know, because she was just kind of like a
fed up kind of energy.
She kind of backed off from him. She kind of distanced herself a little bit from him.
She felt the energy from y'all. She knew what was going on.
Yeah. But those storms. Say that again.
I said, and she knows him. She felt the energy, and she knows him.
Yeah.
But those,
go ahead.
But those,
I'm sorry, ladies.
But those storms are things that, once we deal with them, or once we experience them, then we have to understand what we have to do with them in order to bring us back as a unit, because that divides our unit for a while.
It did.
And
it did.
so,
we had a long fight that night for real. I mean, for real. And I'll be honest with you.
I can imagine you were mad. You were upset.
I was ready to kick her family off the island. I was like, get the hell off this island. I don't want nothing to do with y'all from that particular. It really set a bad precedent for me. But at the same time, there's an old saying, push comes to shove. I found out exactly what they were made of. But we're going to talk more about it. I love how you just start that. You put that transition back in at us looking at the problems and struggles in relationships, especially marriage, because that's all part of it. And the outside elements that are part of it that talk about that we got to deal with. We're getting ready to go to, what's it called, Sharon?
A break.
And we're going to talk more about it when we get back. So just hold on.
Join us for an unforgettable Caribbean cruise. Attention, everyone. Are you ready for a summer escape? Our Black Media Network invites you to an incredible Caribbean cruise from June 16th to June 20th, 2025. Whether you're bringing your partner or connecting with family and friends, this is the perfect getaway. Here's what you can look forward to. Monday, we set sail for the Port Carnival, Orlando, Florida. The adventure begins. Tuesday, enjoy a fun day at the sea. Relax and take part in exciting onboard activities. Wednesday, discover the beauty of Grand Turk. Immerse yourself in the island of culture and scenery. Thursday, another fun day at the sea. More time to mingle with you and your boo. Friday, explore the stunning shores of the Bahamas. Experience paradise firsthand. And last but not least, Saturday, we return to the Port Carnival, bringing back cherished memories. This cruise is your chance to engage with your favorite show host, your spouse, and make valuable connections and ignite meaningful conversations. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. For more information, reach out to our staff or any show host and email at getgoingtravelagency@gmail.com. Once again, that's getgoingtravelagency@gmail.com. Secure your spot today and get ready for a remarkable summer experience. You can learn more information at rblackmedia.com. Once again, that's rblackmedia.com.
Need your garments cleaned with care and with a professional touch? Then bring them to One Price Cleaners in Garden City at the Old Farmers Market on Highway 80. Service you can count on.
Hey, we're back.
And yes, we are back. So you can get your clothes clean before you go on the cruise. The cruise seems like it's going to be a nice event. I am just
And we're jealous. I'm gonna say it, but go
well,
ahead.
I'm not jealous, but I'm upset, or I wish we were apart. We were going to be there and be able to take advantage of working with some couples to try to get them on, either build up their relationship or get them started on the right track, depending on where they are with their relationship. But next year,
That's right,
we are
Julius. And I forgot the other particular. Next year,
Robert.
you better get it together.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we're going to do a seaport cruise and get all of her crew that she has there, get it together, get a travel agent, and we're going to take a cruise and
I'm with it.
do a
I'm with
relationship with them.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely on board.
good, because it's
Yeah.
time for taking the journey to really start to journey.
Well, we did some things before they didn't quite work. We were going to do one not too far from here on the beach before COVID, which we had some people all
Yes.
prepared to do that, someplace to eat, someplace to relax, and then go on the beach and do some things to really help you gel together. And then we tried a cruise thing ourselves, but didn't quite work. It was too close to a particular holiday. Certainly this one is the one that we have to think about working with the right people on our station to make sure next time we do the cruise, you got to have and use your talent that you have on your station to in turn make it something more expansive, make it something more better, and show real unity that you have in your talk, in your walk, and who you are and what you do. And
Yeah.
we are prepared to help you out because we're not trying to be gatekeepers. In fact, the information we give, it's already been told before, we could be charging, but we don't. We give it out freely because we like to have it that way so everyone can enjoy it. Or like this young sister said, imagine if you had more young people, especially walking in the idea of having a relationship, taking it together.
Yes.
Could you imagine that?
Yes.
With the power that we have in our community and we're going to have when it comes to in the future.
Sounds like the plan of the future.
Exactly.
Yes.
So let's
I'm
go
for
back to that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, dear.
No, I said I'm all for it.
So what was that problem and what do you think was a solution that we could and we should think about?
With the
First
Some
of
these
all,
people-
he would have been dismissed and ignored. But
well, he was ignored.
okay, from that point, as far as the relationship issue, it really depends on the responses of each other. I wasn't there to actually interpret with that information, but as a woman, I would have reassured my husband that don't listen to that man. I married you. We here. We with. I don't care what he think. We in this, and I don't care what nobody else think. And I probably would have, knowing if my family felt some kind of way or said anything, I would definitely, the type of person I am, I would have addressed them, put them all the way in alignment. Because if you're for me, and I married him, not he's my boyfriend, but I married him. If you're for me, then you're for him because he's for me. So now, yes, you're my family, but you're his family because he's mine. We're one. We're together. And if you don't like that, kudos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kick rocks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and that was one thing.
Yeah.
I did send a nice little message to all of them after we got back, letting them know how it made us feel and how that whole situation went down.
It would really play bad later
And
on.
so, from at that point, it was like, for a while, it was we were kind of non-communicative.
Exactly.
I just
Well, see, what happened was they looked at Sharon as being their baby in the family because she was married for 30 years before and she just got out of it. So they were very overly protected, to be honest with you, and therefore didn't want to see her, which is understandable. But the kind of recognition and understanding that she has a right, being a grown woman, to love who she wants to love. And then the next step of having that marriage thing, as we talked about, meaning that you need to respect her, what she respects, and love who she loved. They still did not have that real understanding. They still are kind of out of that when it comes to that verdict. And therefore it was hard for them to, how was that?
I dealt with that personally, so I understand.
Yeah, they were. So it's hard for them to actually. They were hard for them to actually present that as a reality that they think they should actually do. So their protection was more about Auntie Sharon. We were more protected for you, Mr. Butt's a good. He seems like he's one of those real kind of angry, maybe very too protective. I use it too protective. They probably wouldn't use that word. Kind of brother. So we got to be more concerned about you. So what happened was it flushed out in that time that in the relationship, family sometimes can be a problem in relationships. That's right. Our families can be a problem and cause real outside destruction, confusion, and disillusion in our relationships. And that's a very real thing that we need to understand. And we certainly found out that then, and it's not as bad as it was before, no doubt about it, even though they don't do much to really make a connection to it now, because they just know that's how it goes in this particular case. They either love it or leave it. But we know that's a reality, that's a problem that in relationships that we have to deal with. And it ain't just with our relationships. So don't think that. It's with a lot of relationships.
I'm sorry. But within that, that separation that had to happen, so I could assure him.
Go ahead. Hey, was that you, Julius?
No, that was you.
Had to happen.
So that I could reassure him that we're in this together, regardless of anybody else. They would go their separate ways. They would go where they're supposed to go.
We actually had a lot of long talks, and I had to convince you, really, let's be honest, that this in turn happens in relationships, and it was anything new, especially when it came to relating to me in the first place. And therefore, you didn't think that the real problem was you in this matter, and had to do with how my energy is, what I represent, and at the same time, my strong belief system when it comes to relationship. And some people are going to feel uncomfortable with it, and your family was feeling uncomfortable with it. And you had to come to a conclusion of either you're going to deal with this or you're not going to deal with it. And I think the movement that had to do within your own heart of what is real righteous and what is not had everything to do with it. Because many times we know inside what's righteous. We know inside what's right. Everybody else may not be acting that way, including our family and sometimes our mate, but inside we know that. And that's why it's important to many times to try to follow your heart in that particular matter.
And still, when it comes to a situation like this within a relationship, when those breaks happen, or there are things that infiltrate the relationship that can cause a split, as you were talking about earlier, Milani. When those things happen, you've got to solidify what you have, or it won't be just a slight rift. It will be a complete break. That storm that you are going through at that time will be a true hurricane that will lead to a tsunami, and you won't have a relationship anymore. It will destroy the whole thing. You have to take time out for yourself.
And it almost came about that with us. I mean, that was not the only one, don't get me wrong, but it almost came about with it in this case. And it had a lot to do with the fact that when you in turn, I'll say it again very strongly, and I want everyone to listen to, families have been sometimes the number one thing that's broke up relationships, especially in our Black relationship. We have allowed sometimes our brothers, we allowed our sisters, and many of us allowed our mamas to break our relationship, and fathers too. Well, naturally, it's usually fathers. I don't mean naturally, unnaturally, usually our father, because many times we come out of single parent families anyway. So that idea of father and man ain't really something that we kind of look upon anyway, and something new we got to try to do, just like I did in my own relationship. But the bottom line is our families many times can be the biggest thing that break our relationships up, or can be the cause from the outside to cause a problem in our relationship itself. So it's not, again, when it's going to happen, or if it's going to happen, it's going to be when it's happened. And what are you doing to try to get yourself prepared for it? Number one, know it's going to happen. And the next thing you got to do preparation. Our preparation was
understand what it means to be married. Understand what it means to be married to your significant other and not to the family. We're not married to our family no more, and my family doesn't own me in the way like before I was married. I held myself accountable to my family because they were my family, and that's my unit before marriage. And so that dynamic still exists to a degree. But once I'm married to my significant other, if y'all can't marry him, like y'all trying to keep me married to y'all, then y'all need to go over there. I don't got time for it.
Exactly.
And nobody in a relationship should.
That is also under and within the framework of called purpose. That's right. You have purposes in life, and should be what you look at as being a goal. I call a spiritual goal in life that motivates you forward and what you're focused on. So in a relationship, you should look at, why are we together? What is our purpose of why we're together? Many relationships come together. They don't look at the purpose or the reason why, and then build from that purpose or the reason why. So in that particular case, in this case, even though we did a lot of talking, I did not actually understand that your family did not have in their mind that idea of purpose of a relationship was under the guise of it's you and me, kid, together, whatever you may want to call it. I didn't understand that they still had that kind of a tendency, a strong attachment that we better protect her. She was in the 30 years before, so anybody she gets now, wow, we better watch out. We got to treat her like a kid. Did not know that that was still there. And you did not verbally make sure that they knew that in this relationship too, at the same time. That's part of those purposes that you got to speak, you got to talk about before you get married. It's really important to do that.
And sometimes you take things for granted that because you see things a certain way, that everybody around you see it the same way, and it's not necessarily the case. I never felt like I had to have that conversation with them. I assumed that it just was kind of par for the course. Take it at face value, and that's not.
They like your first husband better? Is that why?
No. No. It was nothing like that.
Oh, you're with him for 30 years.
But anyway, that has nothing.
Right.
Time.
Like what?
That amount of time has nothing to do
with the essence of the relationship. Right.
So, but yet, to me, it had everything to do with why you should have known how they would react to you the second time around when you got into a relationship that was a commitment. You should have been very prepared for that. But you have to admit, you're like many of us out here listening to it, and I know what I'm talking about, which is many of us do not look at the purpose of relationship as a purpose. First of all, being together, being us. Then the next thing is they still, especially the Black community, have a strong communication and connection to our family.
And sometimes
with our relationship, and carried it into our relationships, and do not do that separation. Either don't speak of that separation, that's have that different belief system, or if it comes up in a reference, make sure it's spoken of and known right up front.
But see that's a misunderstanding, because there's no comparison. Because when I went into my first marriage, I was in my early 20s.
That's a big difference.
That blessing had to come from my mother, who was no longer around. My mother had passed away by the time we met.
That was different.
And I was in
you had 30 years involved in that one.
Not in the beginning of it.
The calendar kept turning.
Yes.
Just because the calendar kept turning did not mean that there continued to be a love investment that was of the quality that needed to be considered. But you
kept turning in such a way that said this was okay for all those years until you finally got tired or different from it. And then we're looking at things different. It has nothing to do, or has something to do with how your family interfaced with them and how they felt about you, because in turn, they still had a connection with you first.
But see, the family has to trust.
Even after 30 years, they still had that connection, and they still do.
No, it didn't have anything to do with him.
But
it had to do with me.
But that's what we're talking about.
But
that's what we're talking about. It had everything to do with you, and that you was the one that needs to be responsible and saying that I don't anymore have that same kind of connection with you. I have now have, as they say, weaned myself away. I no longer am thinking about being connected the same way with family, and because of that, even as this young lady said, now that I'm getting married with someone else, we're connected, we're as one, we're at us, and so on and so forth. Many a times in a Black folks family, we do, I know, because I've observed many. I've been in a first one that was strongly from down south the first time, and that's how they acted, and that's how they still act, which is my family is most important, and whoever you married is secondary, and it's not that important to me whatsoever, and they better know that, because it's never going to change.
And I don't think that has to do with just the demographics of the geography of where people are from, because there was I had a friend when I was in Colorado, a coworker, and she married someone, and they were from they were Panamanian, and that sense of family was so tight that the mother and his aunt broke up that relationship.
So what's your point?
My point is, I don't think it has to do just with
The two different
demographics.
those two different demographics made that family connection still right in a
No,
balanced.
no,
Taking the journey. No, it doesn't.
no, it does not. But what
So
I'm
what was
saying
your point?
is, the point is,
But-
I don't think it has to do with just being down south.
Well,
I think it has
I
to
didn't.
do
I
with
necessarily said. I just was
family.
giving an observation of
Okay.
something. I mean, I've seen it
Oh,
also up
okay.
north too. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the principle behind the
Mhm.
principle behind it.
Yes,
Taking the journey together is all about building on principles.
absolutely.
People act upon principles. Some principles are correct. Some principles are not. Principles many times are not balanced whatsoever. So we're
Mhm.
talking about principles. The
Mr.
principles
Craig,
is
man,
important to say. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
sometimes when someone is processing stuff, like when they know, like if
She's
I know
talking.
one, if I know one person or something more than I know the other person, and I can relate more to this group of people, but
Mhm.
I understand this other person too, there's like not a brain fart, but there's like a moment of processing that seems to be like it's not a response that needs to be had when you're processing your relatability to this person, and it differs from your relatability to this person, but you understand both sides and don't really know at the moment while you're processing what to say and what to address. So if my family recognizes something in your character, they don't know you as a whole. They don't know your essence. They don't know who you are, but they recognize it's something in your character that reminds them of something else that's not necessarily that. And she sees, or I see that they realize that, and I see where it's coming from, but I know that that's not you, and I'm processing it all at one time. It could be slightly overwhelming between family and my significant other to respond in that
So
moment.
are you speaking for her now? Since you
I'm
in
just-
turn feel that way, are you speaking that
I'm
for her?
not-
Do you
I'm
feel
not
that same way?
No,
Do you
I'm
feel
not-
that same way?
no. Go ahead.
I'm
No.
not speaking for her. I'm giving a possible thought process.
Okay.
That
That'd be your story. That's your story. What you feel.
no, because I'm you in my scenario that I'm
Okay.
thinking about. But
So
I had to stop and look at
Mhm.
before, because I was upset. I felt some kind of way. I felt like something else could have been. I still feel like something else could have been said. But then when I placed myself in his shoes and understood where he was coming from with his indecisiveness in the moment of understanding, because he knew where it was coming from. Just like when you said something about me as a person, you thought something about me, and then we had to readdress that. That's not how I am. I'm really observant and I'm open-minded and this, that, and third. Some things can be perceived in a way and understood why it's perceived, but not exact.
Exactly. So I'm asking you exactly. I'm only doing this way because of the fact that I have to orchestrate to be like a caboose person handling this whole particular show outside of producing the show at the same time, and our time is going, so we get to a point in mind to carry on. Are you speaking in such a way that you think this is how Sharon is thinking? Because you said it's not your own experience. So is that what you think Sharon is thinking? And if so, Sharon, you want to answer that? Do you feel that same way that she just got to saying, where it's overwhelming between the two situations, but you know how your family feels, but I know how he is, and yet I don't know what to say, so I'm kind of like stuck between the rock and a hard place?
No, at that time I was not, I was not, I would not say I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, but I would say that I was taken aback. I
Mm,
was taken aback, and I was like, I had never been in a position where I had to address something like that before,
mm-hmm,
ever. And it was one of those situations where in hindsight,
mm-hmm,
I had all kinds of retorts that would have made a difference.
mm-hmm.
In the present moment, I was I was so, I guess you could say, astounded that this person would take that kind of liberty with his own speech around
I'm
people that he
speaking.
did not know.
I'm speaking on the term further in the in a relationship. There's a moment where it happens, and then there's the conversations that the two people have that's in the relationship after the situation
Mhm.
happens. Like if I'm at a wedding reception or a family gathering, and I'm the married person into the family, and I'm at his family reunion or gathering, and somebody addresses or says something slick in front of him, and he doesn't know how to respond in the moment, and then later on we have a conversation like, I felt like you should have done this and this, that, and the third. In that moment, what were you feeling when it was between you, him, and the family? What did you feel?
And you only got a couple of
Yeah.
minutes too.
Um,
That's a deep one to ask you at this time.
Yeah.
A couple of minutes.
yeah.
We have to carry it over another time. Don't worry, folks. We'll still be here.
Yeah. At that point that you're
Spit it out.
talking about, at that point that you're talking about, I I felt I had many things that I felt. I felt disappointed in them. I felt embarrassed. I felt hurt. I felt disjointed. I felt put in a position where I needed to choose one or the other to a great extent, rather than feeling that freedom to embrace all and bring all together. It really split me in my from my heartstrings in a way and at a time that I felt like I needed all of them and not just one side or the other side. And it took a lot of mending for me to come back from that, because it was like a what's the word?
It's coming to terms. That's what that was.
Well, it was more than a coming of terms. Um I felt pulled apart, I guess you could say. And so, and that was not, and it was very disjointed. That's the word. I felt very disjointed in the whole situation, and felt like I shouldn't have been put in that situation in the first place. I felt that I should not have been made to have to take sides when there were no sides that should have needed to be taken.
And on that point, that's what this is about today. And then what that brother talked about
Mhm.
in relationships, marriage relationship, you're going to have conflict. It's not if you're not, you will,
Definitely.
how you will handle it in that balance that you want to talk about, because you didn't have experience before. Sometimes I'm going to give a chance you to get agreement. You hear me from saying it from you, young lady, which is that's the time you would have had to say, ain't no balance here. This is between him and I. This is this man, my man, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't make a difference what the family says. It don't make a difference. That guy says they are not going to disrespect my relationship and how I feel about him. And we're going to finish that right there. We're going to move on until we get onto our next show. We'll talk a little bit more about it, and maybe we'll find something
Where can
else
we find
in a
you?
relationship. Exactly.
I see Port Savannah on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to look it up. Just I see Port Savannah, gmail.com as well.
Okay. And Sharon, where can we find us outside of Sydney here?
Well, other than finding us on Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock on Our Black Media, you can find us on Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 a.m. on WRUU, which is 107.5.
Yeah,
And you can always email us, find us on Facebook, and all of those wonderful places.
Exactly. So, hey, we're going to say that we always love you guys being part of what we're doing. We try to keep it real, but at the same time, right, and make sure that authentication or authenticity is always part of what we're doing. Thank you, young sister, for still staying in here. We thought we scared you off a long time ago. I know you got quite a people saying, "What are you doing on that show?" You know, I'm Mr. Butches. I don't know why you're on there. But you are a true soldier, and we love to see you.
Tough skin. Yeah.
There you go. Until next time, again, take care. God bless Ashe, and take that journey.
To take the journey together.
All right.
I like that.